It was just this pervasive feeling of fatigue that I was left with.
Yeah.
Because it's like a neurotoxin. It's literally poison to your body.
Did you find that you kind of lost people who weren't down with you not drinking?
Yeah, like you become a mirror. Like it's like I'm a walking mirror for everyone, like to like self-examine. Like if I have to drink to hang out with you, then maybe I don't like you. Like no one would look at me and guess what was going on inside of me. Yeah. I couldn't be myself when he was around.
Why did you decide to write a book? You're not an author, right?
Well, now I am.
I'm sorry, you weren't an author.
I found that it was much more helpful than my therapy. I found that like it gave me purpose again, like purpose outside of a man. November hit and I realized, wait, I'm the boss of this.
That's right. Hi, everybody. This is Dan and Dante. Welcome to another episode of Middle-Aged Mess, the show for people who are currently planning a colonoscopy. Okay, today, you know, I love a recovery story just as much as everybody. We're talking recovery, we're talking alcoholism, we're talking first-time books, we're talking Julie Fontes. Julie, how are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
And we already have our second guest. We haven't even started. And
oh, there she is, Clementine.
So we're going to get into your book. You just wrote your first book. We're going to get into that in a second. I want to hear about who you are, where you grew up, how you evolved into the wonderful person you are on my screen here. Let's hear the backstory.
All right. So I am a local Southern California girl. I grew up in Thousand Oaks, Oxnard, Ventura. My parents are both working class. My dad is a restaurant owner. My mom worked at Long's Drugs for a long time.
Okay.
So I grew up like, I feel like upper, lower class, lower middle class.
It sounds very much like a Ventura County lifestyle. Very much,
is,
right?
Yes.
For those of the people who don't know, Southern California is, you know, everybody thinks it's basically LA and San Diego. It's not. It's also Ventura, which is actually one of the strongest agricultural regions in the world, and it has beautiful beaches, and it is unspoiled by development. So it's basically people like you, Julie, right? I mean, kind of like working class, middle class, you know, who live this nice life in this beautiful place, but just doesn't have like the trappings of Southern California like most of the other places.
Like we have like all the beauty of Los Angeles without the traffic.
Exactly. It's gorgeous out there. Yeah.
But it's funny that you say undeveloped because as we speak, they're building 72 townhomes across the street from me.
Yes.
They're $1 million townhomes.
Right.
And last night I was enjoying what I think would be my last sunset. Like I can see the sunset behind the Channel Islands from my living room.
Oh, they're blocking
and they're building them and
no. Well, no, when I say undeveloped, you're absolutely right because there's a lot of development happening there now. I'm talking about the beaches.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Right? I mean, like Santa Monica Beach is like every single space is a bar or a restaurant. And Ventura beaches, there is just nothing. It's just sand and sand. And it's absolutely gorgeous.
Lovely. Yeah.
It really is. Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you, which I'm going to do a lot, but keep going.
I got into party. I moved around a lot when I was a kid, like as a result of like my parents' divorce, whatever, family tumult, like very similar story to like everyone.
Yep. Absolutely.
That I know. But I found that like drugs and alcohol as an adolescent were a quick and easy way to make friends without actually really having a lot in common with people. It's just something that you could quickly bond over.
How old were you? How old were you when you started?
The first time I drank alcohol, I was 13, I believe, 12 or 13, something like that.
Southern California, that's about right. You know, you're right in that pocket right there.
It was not unusual. Like it's I've heard my story like millions and millions of times. Yep. I had a kid when I was 20 years old. So she's 24 now. But her dad and I, like, we were partied together. It was not a good match. We broke up when she was like 3. And I just kind of floundered.
So between the ages of 12 and 20, did the drugs and alcohol, did it have a real big effect on you? Or are you just kind of like partying like most kids party or just something
I was very, like, looking back, and this is something that's happening with a lot of women my age, I feel like, is that we're realizing that we may have had ADHD
Yeah.
and we're just
Yeah.
undiagnosed.
Yeah.
Because I would go through periods in school where I would be like getting straight A's, like honor roll. And then like the next year, I would just be like, fuck it, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not going to class.
Yeah, I think everybody between the age of 45 and 70 has ADHD for sure.
I feel like, what is that? What is this phenomenon? Or is
Yeah.
it just because like of the smartphones and everything that like our brains are changing and we're like, I don't know.
We're all
That's
fucked, is what it is, Julie. We're just fucked, every one of us.
It doesn't even matter. Am I going to do anything different if I get a diagnosis? No, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. Yeah, I broke up with the ex. And from there, I kind of like had these two like personalities that I created. There was the mom, the single mom, like raising my child, doing everything I could to like make sure that her life was beautiful and happy and loved. And then when she would go to her dad's half the time, there was a raging party animal, alcoholic adjacent person. I never called myself an alcoholic because I didn't have to drink every day, you know?
Right. And what was it? Was it a release? Was it just fun? Was it not that big of a deal? Or were you compensating for something?
I feel like a lot, everything, all of the above. Everyone during that time that was my age didn't have kids. They were in college.
Yeah.
So it was completely normal for me to be doing that. It was less normal for me to be doing what I was doing the rest of the time, which was being like a wholesome, like,
being responsible.
Mom. Yeah. So it was kind of like an aimless period, kind of just getting by. And I think the alcohol kept me just like muted enough to not really go for anything else other than what I was doing, which is like waiting tables. And
alcohol was your job. Your job was alcohol, essentially.
I mean, but not really, because also raising my daughter was my job. And like, I had a job that I never, like, I was good at I was a good employee, you know, because I had to be, because I had a family, like.
So you were like a functioning alcoholic.
I was like a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And look, and the reality is, look, you were young, you know, and you had a kid and you were a single mom, like you were doing what you had to do. I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with the story yet. We haven't gotten there.
I'm actually thrilled to hear what you think about it, because
well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
I don't pull any punches.
I'm actually really excited because like most of my readership and audience and whatever are people like me, or like mostly like women. I feel like I did look at like the book that you wrote.
Yeah. Thank you. Which one?
I was looking at the reviews of the book from 2020, The Asshole's Guide
to Complete Asshole's Guide to Handling Chicks. The legendary.
Chicks. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the opposite of my book. I was like, should I talk to this guy?
Yeah, well, I got to, okay. Nobody ever brings up my books, thank God. But
I'm an author.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. I mean, look, that book, by the way, that was my first book. I wrote it with another buddy of mine. It was wildly successful. It did really well. I sold 75,000 copies.
That's great.
Optioned by Fox, like the whole thing. But I wrote it in a character's voice, right? I mean, I am a fucking asshole for sure, but not the kind that I wrote about in that book. And that was really the idea. We were writing in a voice. Andrew, do you know Andrew Dice Clay? Do you remember that comic?
Yes. Yeah.
It was kind of written like an Andrew Dice Clay adjacent character. And I think it was kind of funny. I mean, 75,000 people thought it was kind of funny. But when people bring it up now, I'm not going to say I'm embarrassed, because I'm not embarrassed, because I think it was a funny and it was a good book and we did well. But it was pretty disgusting in every way. And especially now that our society has kind of changed a bit, right? I don't know how acceptable, I don't even know if that thing would be published today. Like, that was in a time when it was okay to be a misogynist, a sexist, a prick, you know, just dehumanize it, right? Dehumanize everybody. But anyway, but I will say this about, and I appreciate that you're excited to hear from a different viewpoint. So I'll say this about myself is I have a lot of problems. I'm obnoxious. I'm a horrible person in a lot of ways. But my one problem I don't have is alcohol. I am not an addictive personality at all. I've never had a problem with alcohol. I can not drink for months or years at a time. I can have one drink and stop. That's just not my problem. And I actually really like interviewing people like yourself, who have recovered from alcoholism, because I honestly don't understand it. I honestly don't understand how people can be addicted to that substance and continue to use it even when it's destroying their lives. And so I'm fascinated by the psychology of how it happened, and that's why I'm really interested in your story and understanding why it is that you kind of went that route. So get after it. Let's go. Let's get to the problem part.
Well, it's like, for me, it didn't destroy, like, it wasn't a destructive thing that caused me to quit drinking. Like, it didn't, and that's the thing that kept me drinking, is because it wasn't like that. Like, I could stop at one drink, but if I was drinking with a certain a very party animal, it didn't really depended on the circumstances, who I was drinking with, what I had to do the next day.
Okay, so I don't know that you were an alcoholic.
I don't call myself an alcoholic.
Okay.
What it's called is a gray area drinker,
Okay.
which is like people who might Google, am I an alcoholic? And then find, no, I'm not. I don't do that. I don't do that. I never got a DUI.
Well, let's get to it.
It doesn't mean that it's not a problem.
Right, and that was the question I was going to ask. Like, at what point did you decide it was a problem? Because look, we all drink. I drank a lot, when I was a young adult, out of college and whatever. I never considered it a problem. What point for you was it that you said, okay, some shit's going wrong here?
It was actually when I became what I felt like was a completely normal drinker, and just did it, on vacation, or a drink with dinner, or just a couple of drinks with my boyfriend on a night off. It was just this pervasive feeling of fatigue that I was left with.
Yeah.
Because it's like a neurotoxin. It's literally poison to your body. And that it just wasn't adding anything to my life at all. I had quit for 5 years when I turned 30. So during my daughter's adolescence, I was sober. And then I quit again, this time after she turned 21.
Right when she could start being your drinking buddy. That's pretty ironic.
And actually, for her 21st birthday, we were in Cancun in Mexico. Nice. And we did have that experience of being drinking buddies.
Right.
And it was very fun.
Yeah.
But also I came home and I was just I'm so fucking tired. That it doesn't feel like I had a vacation. It feels like my body has been put through the ringer. And I'm really health conscious. I exercise, I eat well. And even doing all of those things, if you add drinking on top of that, it's you're negating all the good things that you're putting into your body. And we only have such a short amount of time on this planet.
So this was in your early 40s, right? Because you said your daughter was 21. Okay.
I turned 42 during the book.
So throughout your 30s, you're drinking, you're living, you're working, you're raising your kid, things are okay. You had a decent life, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're in your early 40s and you're kind of discovering that alcohol's not so great. All it's cracked up to be. And so what happens then?
Well, and then I also discover that my relationship is not so great, and find that has to come to an end.
Right.
And then I discover that I have a lot of energy that I need to put into something.
It's like the triple crown of being old, right?
Just that year of being sober, it felt like I was just trying to fill up my life with things to just prove something, to prove I was okay, So
wait, there was a year. So did you specifically say, I'm not going to drink for 1 year? Was it a goal you'd set for yourself?
No, that's just the time frame of the book.
Okay, got it.
But now it's been 2 years.
Okay, so let's talk about the book a little bit, because I read, you sent me some pages the other day, and I read a bunch. I don't know how much, 20, 30 pages in, I started kind of getting into it. But it seemed like this, and it's interesting you say it now, because I was kind of getting the same impression from the book. I thought you were maybe a fall down drunk, your life was a disaster, everything fell apart, and you kind of hit bottom and had to, and as I'm reading the book, you're it didn't feel like that. It felt like you had just kind of made this change, which you considered positive, and you were just kind of observing the way the rest of the world reacted to you.
Yeah. Well, and also a lot of changes happened in my life because I had to fill that time that I would that you spend going out for a drink or
Yeah.
like I had to find something because you can't just take something out of your life like that, especially something so big in society.
Right. And getting a drink is like, it's 50% of your social life. The other 50%
Yeah.
is going to get something to eat, right? Like it's
Yeah.
always, let's go get a drink. Let's do happy hour. I'll meet you tonight. And when that disappears, there is a huge void that gets created. Did you find that you kind of lost people who weren't down with you not drinking over that period?
I mean, not really, because um I lost like all my drinking buddies a long time ago, like
Mm.
the first time I quit drinking. So mostly the people that are close to me. And as you get older, or at least for me, as I got older, I don't really I recognize when someone is just a for that type of person
Yeah.
and it's not like pleasant. Like if I have to drink to hang out with you, then I don't like you. You know?
No, I agree. I agree. I mean, if you need a crutch in a relationship, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So what did you start like? What was the first things you started noticing when you're observing the world around you and how it's changing? What was the first thing that kind of popped up as a factor?
What I noticed first is people telling me about like either that they don't have a problem with alcohol
Mm.
or that they're thinking of quitting, or like people like when they find out that you're not drinking but they're still drinking, they find that they have to like give you an excuse when it's just like I don't fucking care, like you
Yeah.
can do whatever you want with your life,
Yeah.
like,
All of a sudden, they
but
think you're like the judgment police.
yeah,
You know?
like you become a mirror. Like it's like I'm a walking mirror for everyone, like to like self-examine. Yeah, so that was interesting and fun and continues till this day. And now I just got a new job and I haven't really told anyone that I'm not drinking. And I'm having a weird like
At the new place,
at
so
the new
you're
place.
meeting a whole bunch of
I
new
have
people.
two jobs now. Yeah, so I'm meeting a whole bunch of new people and like I know they're all heavy drinkers, and
I mean, isn't it crazy? It is like we don't really think about how pervasive alcohol is in our society. You know, like if you're normal, I mean, everything is about going out to drink. And if you don't, like you do really lose a sense of connection with a lot of the people around you.
yeah. And there was a few people that I don't see very often just because I don't drink, but the people that I do see, I know that we have a deeper connection, and we have moments that are just so beautiful and authentic, and like
Right.
we have to come up with actual things to do,
God forbid, God forbid, go fly a
activity.
kite. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like you're like a child again. Like it's like a second childhood because like as you get older, like that becomes the activity is like drinking is just like
Yeah.
that's not an activity.
Yeah. There's some connections that are changing. There's some people that are falling away. What else happened as a result of not drinking?
I discovered that like the drinking and the relationships are like this intertwined thing for me. Like a lot of times, like I have wanted to quit drinking probably throughout my whole life. Like even though it took this long, there was often times when I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I would be like in a relationship with a guy where it's like, I know that he doesn't want to be with a woman who is sober.
God forbid. Jesus Christ. I mean, do you know how much funnier and sexier I am when you're drunk, Julie? I mean, let's be honest.
Right. I feel like, and it does bring insecurity because,
Yeah.
and that's what happened with like my most recent one, part of that falling apart. And why he thought that he had to quit, even though I didn't ask him to, is because if I'm improving myself, am I going to want him?
Yeah.
Like he's told me that, like, okay, if you become this great person who like does everything right, why would you want me anymore?
Well, look, you made the perfect analogy before when you said you're become a mirror to people.
Yeah.
You know, when you're not doing something that they know they probably shouldn't be doing either, it makes them think. And look, generally speaking, people don't want to think. People just want to go through their lives, have their drinks, and just not ever be confronted with who they are.
Yeah.
You know? And okay, so let's talk about the book itself. So why'd you decide to write a book? You're not an author, right?
Well, now I am.
I'm sorry, you weren't an author. The day before you started writing the book, you were not an author. What made you think?
How dare you, sir?
God damn it. Podcast is over. Billy, shut it down. What made you think you could write a book?
I've always wanted to write a book. It is actually the third book I've written. The first two were novels that just like they just live in my computer. That's like a paperweight. Yeah, it's just been my dream all my life. And in the middle of that sober year, I just felt like what was happening was important and I wanted to share it. And like a lot of what I did in the beginning was read a lot of other people's books. Like I love reading sober stories. Yeah. And like I was like, I feel like I should throw mine into the mix.
Yeah.
And also like I started writing on Substack because I got a writing coach that told me about it.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing platform for writers. Like I love it.
And did you have some goal? Was there some bigger purpose in writing the book, or was it truly just you wanted to observe things that happen and tell a story?
I mean, I want it to be like maybe a comfort to people who might feel similar feelings to me, because there was so many times where I just felt lost and alone and like I was going crazy. Yeah. And people read it and related like so heavily to it. I think that I did like achieve my goal.
Okay, good. So tell me some of those stories. When did you feel like you were alone? When did you feel like you were going crazy? Like what was happening around you that made you feel that way?
So I started dating this guy that I worked with.
It's always about the dudes, isn't it? It's always about dudes. No, they fuck everything up. Stay away from the men. Jesus Christ.
Literally, that's actually the theme of my book. Stay away from the men.
I'm buying it. I agree with it 100%.
I stay away from them.
I tell my daughter that every single day.
You should. I tell mine too. I'm like, Carly, they will ruin your life. Exactly. Don't
Happily they'll do it with a big smile on their face and a beer in their hand. I'm sorry. You were telling me a story. Go back. You're with some loser dude.
Oh, yeah. This guy, I'm 42. He's 31.
Nice.
Yeah, like part of it was like, when you're an older woman, like you're aging, like you look at your partner and you're like, oh my God, like, is he looking at that younger girl over there? And
he is. Her. You don't have to ask the question, Julie. He is every time.
When we break up, is he going to like start dating a younger girl? And then I'm going to have to see it. And then I'm going to have to, whatever. But like, and then it was like me with the younger guy. And there was part of me that felt like I felt like a bro. Like
you're a cougar, Julie. You're a cougar. That's awesome.
I don't like that term.
Okay, you're a bro. I'll go with that.
Not even. I don't know. I'm just like a fucking badass. Yeah. And I thought that I could treat it like casually because of my age and because of my experience and everything I've been through in life. Like I just finished a 5-year relationship and I'm not that broken up. So this means nothing to me. Like this isn't going to be a big deal. And then he rejected me and I entered this state that from the outside looked like insanity.
Oh,
like
let me hear about it.
Me looking down upon myself was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why?
Tell the story. What were you doing?
No, it's just, I wasn't like doing anything. Like outwardly, I looked completely normal. Like no one would look at me and guess what was going on inside of me. I thought about him from the moment that I woke up till like the moment I went to bed at night.
Oh, you were hooked.
I couldn't be myself when he was around. Everything I did, I was just like thinking about whether it was the right thing or not. It was just
you worked with him too. You worked with him.
And I worked with him. Like usually if this had happened, I would just be like, cut off, never talking again, brick wall, bye. But I had no, like it was my money. Like I had to go to work. I'm not going to quit my job. I was here first.
Did you think about taking a drink? Did that ever pop into your head?
Maybe once.
Okay.
But like when I quit. Like I don't go, I need booze. I just am not interested in it as a thing to imbibe anymore. It's just
I got
boring. You. No, but I I wrote a book instead.
Oh, so was that the catalyst? Was that the catalyst when you broke up with this dude? You decided to write the book?
Okay, what happened is like he broke up. I became obsessed with him. I was like, okay, I need a shrink. Okay, that's not working. All right. And then one of my coworkers, her sister is a writing coach or something. I hired her as a writing coach. So I started meeting with her every week and writing. And like, I found that it was much more helpful than my therapy. I found that like it gave me purpose again.
Yeah.
Like purpose outside of a man. Living my life for men and also for my child was like most of my adult life up until my 40s. And now it's just me. So I feel like that's part of
Is
where
that empowering or is that scary? Or both?
It's empowering and like, but also like it's been a struggle to find what to do with it because there's a lot that I didn't do that I want to do.
I mean, look, the name of my podcast is Middle Age Mess, right? I mean, I talk to people in their middle age all the time, and the biggest theme and I'm 56, you know, I'm there for sure, is what are you going to do now that you're not the person you were for the last 20 some odd years?
Yeah.
And most of us have children, right? And I was a dad and I was a family man and I had to keep the thing together going. And now that's all done. You know, my kids are in college. I'm an empty nester. You know, I'm also divorced, you know, so I'm on my own. And it's like, okay, now I've got 25, 30 years left. Like, what do I do now? Like, if I'm not a dad, if I'm not a provider, if I'm not in this house, you know, with the kids, who am I? And it sounds like you were kind of confronted with the same type of stuff, and you said, "Fuck it, I'm a writer. I'm an author. Fuck all you all."
Absolutely,
That's awesome.
I did not ask for permission from anyone. I didn't. I self-published. I never wanted anything but that, especially for my memoir.
Right.
Just because I didn't want to compromise on anything.
When did it come out? When did the book come out?
On my birthday, on October 2nd.
Okay. And
this year.
What are you doing to market it? I mean, you're obviously doing podcasts. You know, what else is going on? Are sales happening at all?
The sales are happening. I've sold less than 200, but more than 100.
Okay. I mean, that's legit. That's real.
Which is, I feel like legit because I have a very small social media following. And I do have 500 subscribers to my newsletter.
Okay.
But it's like, it's a book. Like it takes a while. It's going to be there.
It's a long, slow slog, you know, it really is when it's self-publishing. Yeah.
So in the first month, I was just like freaking myself out over it as though I myself was like all the whole team of a publishing company, just like, we got to do this. And then November hit and I realized, wait, I'm the boss of this.
That's right. You're the man. You are the man.
I'm the boss of this and I do not have to drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
Like I can just like take it easy, book some podcasts. Like I was thinking of like, I did TikTok videos like leading up. Yeah. Because there are a lot of people that are selling books on TikTok, but it's like a lot of genre. Like genre is really like what sells in those in the self-publishing spaces and the indie spaces. But I mean, like it's a creative act, and they finding ways to market it creatively.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. My experience with writing books is I had huge letdowns when I was done with them.
Yeah,
you know, because you pour your heart and soul into doing it, and the writing and the editing. I mean, it's really like, it's a job, like it's a legitimate job. And then my problem was I never knew how to like end it. Like, when do I end? You know, I would keep going back and like re-editing and adding stuff and doing whatever. And, but when you're finally done, you go, this is it. And you got the thing in your hand. As proud as I was of finishing it, it was just as much of me going, oh, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Have you felt any of that too?
Yeah. But I also like started doing NaNoWriMo at the beginning of the month.
I don't know what that is.
National Novel Writing Month.
Okay.
It's in November, like a collective of all over the world. We all decide we're going to write a novel in,
that's cool. Right
in the month of November. So it's 50,000 words, which comes out to be like
200 pages.
Yeah, like, and it's 1,600 words a day. But I quit that last week because I was like, what the fuck? I'm crazy. What?
I've lost my
I
mind.
just published my book. I need to take it easy.
Yeah, you should be marketing. That's it.
I know.
All
I
marketing
should be.
all the time.
I think I did it because I didn't want to market, because like marketing is not, it's definitely, I didn't realize how much of being an author is marketing because I was so focused on writing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know, it's all a learning experience.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be fun.
And I have my 2 jobs other than writing, so it's low pressure.
Are we drinking at all? We're still not drinking.
We don't drink. I do, like, because I sell alcohol at work, I'll do like a pipe taste, straw taste.
Okay.
But it's just for flavor profile, not for
right.
Like I would not want like a head change.
Would you ever go back? Would you ever say, you know what? I'm not an alcoholic. I can have a couple drinks. Like it's okay. Or are you done? Done.
Yeah. I'm like legitimately uninterested. Like I'll take a sip. Like if it's like a question of like, oh, I really wonder what that tastes like. Like, yeah, I'll take a sip of something, but that's as far as it goes.
Okay. So if I'm driving down the 101, we're not getting a drink together, is what you're saying.
I can have a non-alcoholic drink.
we'll get a Coke.
Great non-alcoholic craft cocktails popping up everywhere. NA beers are really good. I love to crack open an NA beer. Like I still love the taste of like alcoholic beverages, like that warm, like it still gives you like psychologically that time, it's decompression time,
right?
Even though it's not poisoning you.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
You know, like
I'm not killing myself. Yeah,
I have enough conditioning from my years of drinking to like slip into the relax mode just from the taste of something.
Okay, cool. What's the future? Are you gonna write more books? What are you gonna do? Who are you?
Oh yeah, I'm writing more books for sure, and paying off some credit card debt that I accumulated.
That's probably the best idea.
Book.
That's a good idea. I appreciate it. All right, where do people find you? Where do they find the book? Give me some information.
So I'm selling signed copies personally of the book from my website at juliefontes.com. That's Fontes with an E, Fontes. It's also available. Oh, it's called Like a Normal Person. I guess I should say that.
Yeah, you want to use say the title at least once.
The name of the book is Like a Normal Person.
Okay.
It's also available on all like retail, like online book sale sites. You could also order it from like an indie bookshop, Barnes and Noble, everywhere.
Look, I love this story. My favorite story in the world is people who are getting a little older, maybe middle-aged messes, and who have been doing one thing for a long time and decide, fuck it, I want to do something else, and then they go out and do it. Because that's what it's all about. You know, it's all about discovering who you are. And this last 20, 30, 40, however many years of our life, it's really for us. We spent the first half with the kids and whatever, and the parents, and now it's about fulfilling our own dreams. I love the fact that you read the book. And I tell you what, I did read, like I said, I read 20 or 30 pages. I thought it was super interesting, and it was funny, and it was engrossing. I think you're onto something good.
Thank you so much. And thank you for talking to me.
All right, cool, Julie. All right, well, thanks for coming on. Everybody go to juliefontes.com to get her book. Don't forget to like and subscribe Middle Aged Mess, and we will see you next time.